Hello friends, welcome to Ikra Technology. Let's learn about init method in Python, that is constructor. So what exactly constructor is? Constructor or init method is a special method which initializes the class as soon as we create an object. So what I mean by initializing a class or instantiating a class, that means is it assigns the value as soon as you create the object. So let's see how a constructor is created first. So this is the syntax of constructor. Okay, a constructor will always be created inside a class. So this is how you create a class. Then as I said, constructor is a method, so def keyword will be used. Then after that, init method is, this is how you write init method, underscore underscore init and then underscore underscore. Okay, now again, first parameter will always be self. We will understand about self parameter now. So what self parameter does is, self parameter helps us to keep track of individual objects, so Python know exactly which object to work with. Okay, so let's take an example of a class car, where I showed you the class car from which we are creating two different cars, right? One red and another blue car. Two different objects. One object will be the red car and another object will be the blue car. So self parameter helps the class to know that now you are working on the red car object or you are working on the blue car object. So that's what self parameter does. This is the internal thing, you just need to have the knowledge about it, what exactly it does and why it is there. You must write it. Okay, so let's see an example of how constructor works. So as I said, first we create a class, then inside it you create the our special method, which is init method. First parameter will always be self, I explained it why. Then we have two more parameters. You can either add parameters or you can skip it, it's up to you and your requirement. But here we have added two parameters, model name and color name. Okay, now what self dot model does is, this self dot model is the attribute of class. So whatever value we will pass while instantiating class or creating object of car class will be automatically get into this parameter, which is assigned to the attribute of class. Okay, so let's understand it better while creating the object. Then here we have a method, a normal method. Init is a special method which acts as a constructor. Now this method is the normal method which we have created. Drive, as I said, self parameter will always be there. We have not added any additional parameter here. So what it is doing is, whatever value we are passing in our constructor while creating object is getting set in this print statement. So let's see. So here we are creating a car one object. So this is a Toyota of blue color. This object's properties are Toyota. Toyota will be assigned here. As we are creating the object of car class, the first parameter we are giving, which is Toyota, is getting into the model name, which is getting assigned to the class car. And the second parameter we are giving, which is blue, is getting into the color name, which is assigned to the attribute self dot color. So that's how it works. Let's see, here we are creating the car2 object. What we are doing is, first value which we are giving to the car object is BMW, is going into this model name, which model name is getting assigned to the attribute of the class car. So self dot model is the model name we are mentioning, which is BMW, and the red color we are passing here is going here to the color name, and this color name is getting assigned to the attribute self dot color, which is the attribute of the class car. Okay, so let's see what output it gives when we are running the drive function using the car1 object, it is printing the blue Toyota car is driving, and when we are running it using the car2 object, it's printing the red BMW is driving. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So let's see one more example to understand it better. But before that, we will see why are we using init method. What is the need? Okay, so here you can see we are what we are doing is we are creating a class. We are defining a drive function which is printing the which is doing the same thing, printing color and model. So what normally we do is we create an object car1 is equals to car. This is how we created object while we studied classes and objects. Then you have to manually set the attributes, which means this self dot color or model should be manually set. See, car1 dot model Toyota, car1 dot color blue. These attributes needs to be manually set, but when you use constructor you can set it while creating the object. See, here we are creating object and at the same time we are setting the values too. So that's one of the function of init method, and how it is setting is I have already explained that. Okay, so there are different types of init method. First is default init method. Default init method doesn't accept any argument except self. Okay, so self will always be there as it is a method of class, but other than self there will be no parameter in default method. So the name itself states it will have default values as we have not given it any parameter. So whatever the value you will give will automatically be assigned to all the objects. It will be same across all the object as we have assigned it in class itself. Now parameterize init method. When you want something to be dynamic or to be changed at particular place, you use parameterized init method. So here we have provided parameter name and age as you can see in our init method. So the name of the class, that means the name attribute of the class is getting the assigned name, which name we will be passing in the object, and the age attribute of this class is getting assigned with the age which we are going to pass into the object we are going to create. So here we have created p1 object in which first we have passed the name Alice, then 25. So here Alice will get assigned and 25 will get assigned, and for object 2 here Bob will get assigned and 20 will get assigned. So that's how things work. Okay, now let's see what default values in init method. It is different from the default parameter. Default parameter does not take any parameters, but default values in parameter means that here we have given parameters. Parameters will always be there in default values in init method. So suppose I want name to have certain value if it is not mentioned. Okay, so you can better understand this with the if you know the feature of WhatsApp DP, right? If we do not set the DP, it automatically takes an avatar picture and shows no DP, right? So that's default. If you do not set any DP, it will be same for all the users who do not set any DP because it's default, right? But if I'll set the DP, my DP will be visible. So that's how it works. Here we have passed parameter name and age, but what we have done is I have given name John and age 30. So if I am not passing any parameters while creating the object of person class, it will automatically take the name as John and age as 30. But if I'll pass Suppose I'll pass name as, here I have done it. So suppose I'll pass name as Alice and age is 25, then it will take the name as Alice and age as 25. But if we do not mention anything, then it will automatically take the default values. Okay, so let's quickly revise what we learned today. Constructor or init method is a special method inside a class that is used to initialize the object with specific values when object is created. So what it does is it initializes the value so that you do not have to initialize it separately. Then we create init method like any other method, but its name will be underscore underscore init underscore underscore. There will always be one self parameter which points to the current object it's working on. Suppose we have two objects, obj1 and obj2, and I am working on obj1, then it will point to the obj1. Now we have different types of constructor. First is default init method. What default init method does is it only have one parameter, which is self parameter. It does not have any other parameter than that. Then we have parameterized constructor or parameterized init method. It has parameters which helps us to work dynamically on the class based on the value we provide in the object. Then we have default init default values in init method. It is different from the default init method. How default values is different is if we do not give the object any value while creating an object of class, it will automatically take the default values mentioned. But if we give it the value, it will take the value we provided. So that's how default values in init method work. So yeah, that's all about today's video. Thank you.